Walker, Robbie Fox, and the legendary Undertaker. We're playing some WWE Battlegrounds, which is out tomorrow. Be sure to pick it up. The Taker looks great, and the Taker takes what he makes. Mr. Taker, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I want to see you guys do me justice, though. Who's playing as the Undertaker?
So it's gonna be me at first. I'm gonna start as Taker.
So what we're gonna do? What we're gonna do is we're just gonna do the Royal Rumble. All three of us pass the sticks around.
Right.
Wait till they get wet. See how far we can go. By all means, critique us. Let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we're doing wrong. Let us know how awful Brandon Walker looks in real life and while playing the game. Anything is kosher here at Barstool Gametime. In the chat, we're live twitch.tv/Barstool Sports. If you have any questions for the Undertaker, by all means, fire away. Fire.
Nah.
That's it. What was your favorite spot to perform at all the cities in the
Man,
world?
I tell you what, there's just something about the Garden.
Hear that?
You walk. The Garden was like one of the first arenas that lined the halls with all the iconic shots of the people that perform there. You'd go down, you'd see Sinatra, and you'd see Ali and Elvis and the Beatles. It was just one of those cool places. It was really tough to get into and tough to get out of. But while you were in there, man, it's just magical. And
did you have a marquee moment in the Garden?
Oh man, I had several. Most of them were live events, but I did. Steve Austin and I did
the Highway to Hell.
'98 there, yeah, Highway to Hell, which was a great build-up. We did some really cool stuff there, and yeah, it's a good time. I had a lot of great live events, non-televised events in the Garden.
I still haven't been to the Garden. The Garden's across the street from where we are right now. And
You never been there?
I've never been there. We're in COVID, so I was going to go this year to a big WWE event. It just hasn't happened.
Man, it's still cool. I mean, really, if you're a boxing fan or, I mean, just anything. There's just so many. You look back at all the iconic fights and everything that's going on in the Garden. It's just one of those cool places.
I'm a little biased here, but what do you think about Philly? A little Spectrum.
Anyway, has the game started yet?
It's gonna be like
That's
that.
how we all feel.
Hey,
It's gonna be like that,
yeah,
huh?
hey, you gotta have really thick skin in Philadelphia. I mean,
Now, wait a minute. Nobody ever heckled The Undertaker.
That's true.
no. I've had. I tell you what, not in Philly. No, not in Philly. They were pretty kind to me in Philly. Like Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Oh my gosh.
Hamilton, Ontario,
That's
Canada?
the one. You're calling out the Canadians now? They're the only spot in the world that took
Just
on
in
the
Hamilton.
Undertaker?
Just in Hamilton. Montreal, Toronto, anywhere else, they love me. Hamilton, they couldn't care less. I don't think they like any good guy in Hamilton. I mean, it's like it would always be full. The arena would always be full, but it was like they came to have a horrible time.
This is a cartoonish type of game. It's very, there's a lot of action. She just disappeared.
She just vanished.
She went over the top
We
rope
also
and disappeared.
we appear to be wrestling in like Penn Station right now.
It's realistic.
Well, that's that arcade style that they created there. It's
Yeah, I
guys
believe in the
make me
video
do-
game you're wrestling in your hat. You leave the hat on for the matches.
yeah, it's wedged onto my head. My head swelled. I can't get it off.
It's like Slash with his top hat. Just
Exactly.
always stays on.
You couldn't get it off with a crowbar.
You were just talking about that Penn Station. I always thought about that Penn Station match that you and Triple H did. He kind of got the ass end of that. You tombstoned him on the top of an escalator. He had to ride down the entire escalator.
That was mayhem, man. That was a crazy night. Like, who thinks of putting a match on in Penn Station? I mean, there were people on top of people. There was nowhere to move, and yeah, boom, right at the top of the escalator, he gets the free ride down, and those people lost their minds. Yeah, those are the old shotgun Saturday nights that you were doing.
Yeah, that was a terrible idea. Those shotgun Saturday nights. You guys were doing some wild stuff. You went to American Badass, and it was awesome. How good did it feel after the American Badass to get back into the old school version of The Undertaker?
Yeah, it was really cool because I wasn't sure. I mean, I thought, but I wasn't really sure how people were going to accept it. I mean, coming out of the Attitude Era,
Yeah.
where I mean everything was just it was all wide open, and so I was a little leery, like, okay, are they going to accept this? And they were clamoring for it. Really, they were so excited for that, that bell ringing, and and it was like boom.
Well, that happened in the Garden, right? That was in the Garden, wasn't it?
That happened in the Garden. Yeah, that was WrestleMania 20, and that was against Kane. Yeah.
So let's see. So we are playing this game, WWE Battleground, and Smitty, the gaming expert, has figured out you are now in the ring with your hat.
Exactly.
And you're fighting John Cena. So I don't know if you have any feelings about that, but John Cena, he's kind of kicking your ass right now.
I wouldn't say that.
What?
You said Triple H into the ring.
I'm not playing.
And what's happening? What's happening?
Okay, you've turned it around. Now the Undertaker's kicking some ass. Okay.
You are, by the way, twice the size of Triple H and John Cena, but only a 93 out of 100 in the game.
That's bullshit.
I agree.
Wait a minute. I'm calling 2K right now.
Yeah, I thought you were calling Triple H. It'd be like, hey, what the fuck?
Hey, they didn't go out. No, that's it. I'm calling these guys as soon as we're done here. 93, really?
93 is a good score. I mean, it's an A. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's an A.
Didn't they just have this whole debate in the NFL over some other game?
Oh man,
they complain. Everybody complains. Everybody. I mean, when you as a competitor, what you want to be 100 every time?
Exactly.
Even if you're the third string quarterback.
Yeah, I want to be at 93 though. Man,
what
am I missing?
This is a very elementary question, but you've been part of the WWE machine for 30 years. Is it still kind of crazy to like look at a video game and see your likeness, see the Undertaker, and see this larger than life character that you yourself built?
Yeah, no, it never gets old. Like, I don't ever take anything for granted. And that's always kind of something that I tell people, like when they're coming up, like, guys, if you just want to be that guy that gets recognized and maybe gets a free cup of coffee at Waffle House, you're doing this you're in the wrong business,
Well, there's nothing wrong with free food at the Waffle House if we're just being honest.
Not even food, just a cup of coffee.
No, absolutely not. But if that's your goal, then there's a lot wrong, because you're going to give up a lot of your life for that free food at Waffle House.
Yeah.
So you could just never be content with where you're at, right? A prime example, somebody like Rock.
Yeah.
I mean, what is he now? He's a mega superstar in movies. He's got his hands in everything. He's just never content. He's just got that drive, and you have to have that. Cena was the same way. All those guys that make it to the top, they're just never content. And I never take anything for granted, because I know it can all go away just like that.
What was the first moment, though? Because when you became the Undertaker in 1990, your career shot to another stratosphere, and you were in the WWF. It was a big time. Did you ever have a moment like, all right, I made it? Was it that first debut, or was it later when you got the belt? When was your I made it moment?
Probably, it was probably when I beat Hogan.
Yeah.
In '91 in Survivor Series. I'd been there a year at that point, and I was champion. And that was short-lived.
Well, Ric Flair cheated, and that's why you won. So if we're just being honest here.
Yeah, your memory's a little too good, brother. Why don't you play the game?
No, Taker, you ask him any legitimate wrestling question, any hardcore wrestling trivia question.
I'm just a huge fan of what you guys do.
I can tell. No, I appreciate that. No, and it was. I was like, okay, I've risen.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I lost the title 6 days later, so that was kind of because I didn't know that was going to happen. It just happened.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, how did I screw this up in 6 days? So that, I stayed in that top spot, but that was kind of humbling for me. And then I didn't get another shot at it until 13.
Yeah, 97.
WrestleMania 13 with Sid. So by the time I beat Sid, I pretty much knew that I had arrived, and now it was up to me to kind of continue to keep moving the arrow in that direction.
You had your I've arrived moment in 1997, 7 years into this incredible career. That's wild to me. But that 97 run of yours, it was awesome because you had Sid at WrestleMania, and then you had the great match with Brett, and then you had the Hell in a Cell match with Shawn a couple months later. 97 was a great year for the company, but You saying that you arrived in '97 is phenomenal to me because you had you accomplished so much before that.
Well, I did, but it was just that I guess that was just the realization.
Yeah.
I was grinding so hard, and we were grinding hard as a company. Like we'd been through a lot as a company, and there was
stat person from us.
I don't have a stat. I'm interviewing somebody right now.
Yeah.
I'm interviewing the Undertaker.
Oh, what's up, Undertaker?
That's Mr. Taker
bullshit.
to you,
Don't
big cat.
I've interviewed him before.
Don't interrupt my interviews, man.
Yeah. All right. So right now, Smitty
I don't
is.
even know who that is. I don't even know who that is, but now I'm pissed.
That's Big Cat. He can be a little bit much. He can be a little bit much.
Apologize to Mr. Taker.
Big cat.
Sorry, Mr.
There's only
Taker.
one
I
big
love you.
cat. That's already
He
lad.
knows me.
He's an Austin guy anyway.
No,
Yes, you are. You're an Austin guy.
Yeah, but it's Austin or Rock. What's up, Taker? He knows me. I've interviewed him.
Well, he doesn't appear to know you.
Yes. What's up? Is he frozen?
Checks
No,
out.
I think he's just doing that too.
No, he's pulling the big cat. He's pulling the big. No, he's pulling the big cat on big cat.
Yeah, he's pulling the
That's
big
what
cat
the
on big
Taker
cat.
does.
Fuck.
See?
Damn, that was nerve wracking.
Yeah, that was awful.
That
was terrifying.
Holy shit. You have a stat
I still
person.
got it.
I know.
I
Yeah, you do.
still-
You absolutely do.
Still got it.
Did you see my card?
No, I'll look at it later. I'm interviewing the Undertaker right now. That's awesome.
Holy shit, is he?
He's still talking. I'm trying.
that's
I'm
what I
trying.
mean.
So right now, I'm just going to give you a little play-by-play. You are in the ring with Edge, Ricochet, and Kofi Kingston, and boy, you are really keeping pace with Ricochet. Congratulations to yourself.
Yeah, hey, but I'm a little more athletic than I look.
Yeah.
Edge, obviously, Edge is another one of those guys I loved working with. He was phenomenal in the ring as well.
Edge really was, and still is. He had the big comeback this year. He got injured, but Edge had a great program this year at WrestleMania. He made the return at Royal Rumble. I loved when you had a great Mania match. You had a great SummerSlam 2008 match in the Cell. That was awesome.
Yeah, he's just a great heel. He understood. I mean, you can just tell when guys understand the business, and he did, and he was always phenomenal to work with. One of my favorites.
Isn't it always harder for the smaller guy to be the heel in a situation with you? I mean, especially in the ring. Maybe not outside the ring, but in the ring.
It is, and the key is just being tenacious. Like, going in, you're going to get your ass bounced around pillar to post and everywhere else. But when you get your opportunity, when you see the crack in the armor, you got to take advantage of it. That's what Shawn was so good about. Edge, Kurt Angle, all those guys, Eddie Guerrero. I loved working with all those guys who I dwarfed, but they understood the business so well.
Yeah.
It's what made the magic. Yeah.
I didn't know I was as big a wrestling nerd as I was until I sat down and started talking to the Undertaker.
No, you knew.
I knew, but
You
I,
knew.
I thought, okay, well, I'll try to add some things, but I'm like, I get him here, and I'm like, hey, man, remember that? That was awesome. Remember?
And everyone who grew up in America is pretty much a wrestling nerd, especially in the 90s.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But you were savants.
You've
Brandon
solidified
Walker.
your spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I earned my spot
Wrestling
today.
nerddom.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you're good.
What was it like for you too? So you went across eras. Like, people say, oh, this guy was a big star in the Attitude Era. Well, this guy was a big star in the PG era. This guy was a star in the early '90s era. You were in all of them. I mean,
I don't know if that's good or bad, but yeah, I was there for all of them.
I mean, the business changed, but Undertaker, you changed with the business, but you were always a constant. I mean, that has to be just incredible looking back and seeing your own memories interwoven through so many eras of wrestling.
Yeah, where it really comes and becomes weird not weird to understand, but when you start wrestling kids that you wrestled, that's when you've been there for a minute.
So who was the first?
I think the
DiBiase?
first was it was either DiBiase or Davey Boy.
Yeah.
David Smith, and then obviously Mike Rotundo's kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's been a few. There's been a few that I've worked with both son and father.
Speaking of Mike Rotundo's kids, he's got a character that's just tearing up the business right now and has for a year. A lot of people say this guy's like the evolution the Undertaker character. What do you think about that?
I love him. I love what he's doing. His whole approach. I just, I hope they don't gimmick it out too much.
Yeah.
Because it's really probably, to me anyway, the most compelling character.
I agree.
That they
Yeah.
right now. And there's so many different ways that he can go and different things that he can do. And he has he's got a really good understanding of his character.
I mean, I don't understand the business like anybody inside the business, but I can just tell looking from the outside, it looks like he approaches things with an idea and then he executes it better than anybody in the business right now, just from my outside as a fan.
No, that's a good analogy. I mean, that is a good observation.
Oh
yeah.
my God, you just
I feel the same
tombstone
way.
Edge to death.
I mean, that's what you do when you're the Taker. That's what you do.
That's what you do, man.
So
they don't pay me to do jobs.
So you said earlier that Vince basically came to you and said, "I have this Undertaker role. Do you want to run with it?" Or basically said, are you running with it, or are you out? Like, was it even a question?
So like I said, WCW told me what they told me, right?
Yeah.
And I get a meeting with Vince, and I get to go to the house, right? I get to go to Vince's house. So I'm already on my way thinking, all right, he's gonna hire me on the spot. There's no other reason why I would go to the house.
Yeah.
So I sit down, have the meeting with him, and I think I've been charming and showed my personality and I've my dedication and all this stuff. And at the end of the meeting, he goes, we really don't have anything for you right now. Maybe sometime after Mania. And I knew Mania was kind of at the beginning of the year, and this is like somewhere around June, July. I'm thinking, wow, I kind of overplayed my hand here. I've already told WCW I'm out, thinking that I was going to get hired. And, fortunately, they let me go out and read for a movie, and I did that. And then he called me one day. I'm sure you've heard the story now about my fear of being, Eggman. And
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard that story, right?
Yeah.
But yes, that's the first day when he called me, and called me Undertaker. Like, it was like, Undertaker ain't Eggman, and
No.
yeah.
I mean,
Hell yeah, I'm the Undertaker. So.
What was your gut? Because the words Undertaker. I mean, what was your gut reaction when you heard that? Because that's like the most badass thing you could call somebody. I mean, the Undertaker.
Yeah, and I wish like I would had the presence of mind to really realize that right out of the get-go.
Yeah.
But I was still trying to convince myself he didn't call me Eggman, and it was like Undertaker.
Wait, did you think you were going to have to work in an actual funeral parlor?
Yes. What is your professional mortuary experience, Mr. Taker?
Fortunately, I didn't have any, but Paul Bearer was a licensed mortician.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know that. Yeah. So he did bring a lot to the table as far as color and inside knowledge, but like I had no clue. I was just like, I'm hired and it's time to go to work.
I fell asleep watching the network the other night, and I woke up about 3 hours later. I don't know where I was, but I was watching an old school one, and what woke me up was Paul Bearer's voice, and that's a terrifying thing to wake up to.
No doubt.
No
doubt.
And the rest of the day, you just walk around in that high-ass voice. It was not a pleasant day.
Oh, it was.
But he was awesome.
So perfect.
He was
awesome, man. Yeah, his character and the way, he was the perfect, he was the perfect Robin to my Batman, I guess. His high pitch, and squeaky, and then I would talk low and slow. So it was a great combination and got us off rolling pretty good.
So update, you're now on the top rope. I don't know why.
All right, because Xavier Rhodes is on the.
Nothing
Xavier
good
Rhodes is
ever
on the
happens on the top rope.
Oh, now you've just tombstoned Xavier Rhodes to death. Okay, so you're just tombstoning everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's what I do, right?
Yeah. Austin's in there for some reason. Austin's not fighting anybody. He's kind of walking around. That seems...
Probably drinking a beer.
Yeah, so that's just really a cool-looking game that WWE is coming out with. It's not your typical release they do, every year with the 2K, which is very realistic. This is cartoonish. Mm-hmm. And it's something they've done a lot along the years, but this is a real cool release.
Yeah, and it was geared around not having to be, is geared around not having to be a gamer, and anybody pretty much can pick it up and start going, and you got all these different scenarios, these different you get different power ups like flaming fist and ice breath and earthquake, these different things that you be able to do in an arcade. So it should be a lot of fun for the whole family. They're just you can customize your own player. I mean, there's been a lot of thought put into it, and it's gonna be pretty fun for everybody.
We've come a long way from, what was it, WWS SmackDown?
Yeah, well,
for Sega.
Who are you talking to?
No,
I go all the way back.
No, I'm talking the 1992-93 game for Sega.
Yeah, that was where they had Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Then they had Super WrestleMania, which was very cartoony, and it was stuff like that.
No, but the Taker was in that.
Yeah, he was. No, you've been in games since like 91.
We used to spend like 3 or 4 days out in Long Island.
I think we called him Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods.
This is a football.
This is a question.
I knew who you were talking about.
Yeah, that's Smitty's fault. He said it. I repeated it.
Well, true story. I was out doing a Mortal Kombat event with Ronda Rousey in L.A., and there were characters dressed up as Mortal Kombat characters, and I didn't know who they were. And Xavier Rhodes was right here, like, messing with me, and he was in disguise. He wasn't Xavier Rhodes, so I didn't know. Xavier Woods. He was in disguise. I didn't know who the hell it was, and I started messing.
You'll never get him on your show again.
Well, he was wearing a mask.
What if we got Xavier Rhodes? I mean, he's famous too.
Xavier Woods was wearing a mask. I didn't know who he was, so I was like kind of messing with him back. And the camera guy, Dan, was like, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you messing with Xavier Woods? Like, you want to get your face blown in?"
Every action has consequences.
Like, maybe. That would be nice.
Right.
So this is a question from Twitter.
Right.
This is a question from Twitter for you. Which moment would you love to relive? Your Hell in a Cell match against Triple H at WrestleMania 28, or the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 24 against Edge?
Who?
Both incredible matches. Both outdoors. Both in Florida.
Yeah, those were both really good. I don't know. I tell you what, the Hell in a Cell match, I think, is probably the biggest, best hook of a false finish ever.
You think it's even a better false finish than you and Sean at 25 when he kicked out of the tombstone?
Well, I think that got us started, but when you figure Sean is a special guest referee.
Oh, it was the pedigree into the super kick, wasn't it? Or the super kick into the pedigree.
The super kick into the pedigree. Yeah, they thought that like the screw was in right there.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the biggest false finish that I can think of. But man, I'm really proud of those 4 years. The two with Sean and the two with Triple H, because it was basically one continual story all the way through that. Not taking anything away from that match with Edge, because that's up there too. Definitely my top 10. But I think just the finish of the Hell in a Cell match, and then at the end, the three of us standing up there on the top of the stage.
Yeah.
The end of the era. That's pretty special stuff.
Did you guys set that story in motion 4 years at the beginning and say, all right, this is going to be the next 4 years? Or did you just kind of tell that story over the course of 4 years and kind of pick it up as it went along?
Yeah, it just kind of happened as it went along.
Yeah.
When we were getting into the final, as we were leading into 26, it was kind of like, okay, what do we go from here? And it just seemed like, okay, I just had these two incredible matches with Sean. It makes sense, and I've retired him now. It just made sense that Triple H would be the next, the next line there, and it just kind of happened organically.
And then you beat him in the regular match at 27, which led to the Hell in a Cell match at 28.
So what was so cool about 27 was, I won, but I wasn't able to walk out on my own.
Right.
I won, but I got left laying. He walked out on his own power, and then that motivated me. Like, I couldn't take it. Like, I won, but I didn't really win because, I was slick and I put him in that submission hold. But really, in my mind, I felt like I'd lost, and that's what brought it. That's what it was. Such a great build. Really proud of it.
How big of a charge did you guys get when you had the best match, when you stole the show at WrestleMania? Because you did that. You had the streak. Yeah, that's great. But you had so many matches where you stole the show at Mania. 25 with Shawn, 28 with Triple H. How big of a charge? 'Cause I know stealing the show on an ordinary show, that's one thing, but WrestleMania, that had to be the best night of the year.
Yeah, well, so we went in at WrestleMania 25. We told them we need to go on last.
Yeah, that's
and they didn't do it.
They put Triple H Orton last of that one.
Right, and no disrespect to those guys,
Right.
but it was just like, you got two guys with two really big egos that are about to tear it down.
Yeah.
You want to put this on last, and they didn't, and so that just, the chips on our shoulders were freaking boulders, and it was like, I don't know how much you guys know about Jerry Lee Lewis, but he used to set his piano on fire because nobody could follow him.
Right.
Yeah, that was why he did it, right? Because it don't matter who comes on next, they ain't gonna follow that, right? So we had a little bit of extra motivation because we felt like we had been slighted.
Okay. That
and
makes
not
sense.
put on last. And then obviously just magic happened that night. Like I said, I mean, no disrespect to Triple H, and because they had a hell of a build.
Yeah, a hell of a build. That was an incredible build. But you guys, when did you know it was magic? Because I just go back to even the entrances with you coming up, the darkness, and then Shawn coming down with the light. I mean, it must have felt like magic before you even stepped in the ring.
Yeah, it was like, like I said, we had already had enough pressure on ourselves, and then the fact that we were, we had this chip on our shoulder, and we knew where we were going with the heaven and hell kind of deal.
Right.
And it didn't take long in the match to figure out,
This is right. Yeah.
all the stars are lining up tonight, man. And, I'm sorry for anybody that has to come on after us tonight.
You're now fighting in a cage match against Yokozuna, and somehow Yokozuna has just climbed to the top of said cage.
Very speedy Yokozuna.
he's
He's
very nimble.
Very athletic. Very athletic for a big man.
Who would you say is the most athletic wrestler you've been up against? Who would translate to, like, the NFL the best?
That's a great question.
Wow.
Don't say yourself. Don't say yourself. Come on.
No, you got the wrong dude. Just play the game. Oh, man. Kurt was really athletic.
Yeah.
Shawn, Shawn was athletic, and I don't know. Kurt, Brock probably.
Yeah.
Size, speed, strength. I mean, Brock had it all.
Yeah.
Was there anybody you went up?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Was there anybody you went up against, and you're like, whoa, you didn't expect that from him?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because I've been around for so long. You see everybody kind of.
You pretty much know, right?
Yeah, you pretty much know everybody. Everybody. You kind of get the scouting report on everybody. So nothing's really a shocker. But I will say, Brock, when he came up the first time,
Yeah.
it just kind of defies. You see somebody and you think there's no way he can move that fast and be that. I mean, he's strong, but to be able to move and be as agile as he was, because he was 290
Right.
when he came up the first time.
And you worked with him early too. You worked with him in that first year.
Yeah, I got a hold of him pretty quick, and he was he was really good right away. Him and Kurt both kind of came up at the same time.
Yeah. All right, so I know every time you do an appearance, they all say, "If you're tired, you probably get tired of that question." But all I'll ask is, what's next for you?
So I'm kind of trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out how to use my platform. What I do. I love work. Do a lot of work with veterans and veteran organizations, Make-A-Wish and Special Olympics also. Just trying to figure it out and see what's next, what puts that fire, what lights that fire. Of course, everybody who knows me is like waiting for November or December to come along to see if I start training.
Get that itch?
It's, but I think they're going to be I think they'll be disappointed though this year because we're going. I think we're going to let it go this year.
Oh, but you said never say never.
I did say never say never.
You did.
That was a direct quote.
Did,
That was a direct quote from the chairman.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a Vince line. Do you still, even to this, when the gong goes off, when the sound hits, does it still stir the same emotions in you standing there?
Never went away.
Well, it never went away for fans either. That's such an iconic sound. It's so crazy. It never went away for anybody.
It was especially the last few years. It was so cool because you didn't see me every week, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was here sporadically or just around WrestleMania time. So I think I got a little bit of the nostalgia pop. Plus, then it was like, oh hell, that's the Undertaker pop. But when you're even in, I came back. What was it? Last year or year before Philly. I was in Philly for Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
And when that dong went off, the people went nuts, and it's just like, yeah, it gives you that false sense like I could do this forever, But it's 3 hours later when all that adrenaline wears off, that you go, man, I'm getting way too old for this stuff.
One last quick question before we cut you loose. Looking at Brandon Walker right here, if you had a wrestling name to give to him right here, right now, what are you thinking?
What the hell?
Off the top of your head.
Right off the top of my head.
Let's call him the Milker.
Well, there you go.
You can go with the Milker.
I don't know. I was going with Sloth, but the Milker.
I don't know you, but you're an asshole.
Sounds right.
Man, they set you up, Brandon. They just set you right up for that, Brandon.
They did. Hey, this has been awesome. Thank you for letting me nerd out.
Amazing. WWE Battlegrounds comes out tomorrow. Be sure to pick it out. Mr. Taker, appreciate you. Big fans all around.
Guys, thanks for making time for us. Enjoy the game. Really appreciate you having me on.